I yield at this time, Mr. Chairman, to the gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Davis, 4 minutes.
Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I offer an amendment that will enable our nation to more effectively plan and execute national security and interagency operations. To enhance our national security, we must be able to effectively integrate the military and non-military elements of our national power. This requires the effective integration of all agencies of the federal government, not only those with traditional national security roles. However, achieving highly integrated national security interagency planning and execution requires personnel who have the knowledge, skills, and attributes to plan and participate in these interagency operations. At present, there's no permanent institutionalized system for developing the skills and experience required. Examples abound of the need for this change, and I'll cite two briefly. My first relates to our ongoing interagency operations in Afghanistan, and I commend President Obama for his determination to pursue an integrated interagency approach to resolving that conflict. As our national security community knows, helping the Afghan government create a secure and stable society requires, among other things, that we assist farmers in growing crops other than poppies, which are used to produce opium. Unfortunately, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has never been used before now to provide personnel in support of operations like those in Afghanistan. The military have been required to fill the gap with people without ag experience. While our soldiers are very adaptable, we'd be better off if USDA were routinely engaged in overseas national security operations with other agencies, military and civilian, of the federal government. Next, I cite our experience in Iraq. In the early days of the Iraq occupation, there was no modern banking system in Iraq, and Iraqi security forces could only be paid in cash, which required them to leave their unit and to spend days away taking money home to their families. During this period, the Deputy Treasury Secretary told me that if he was given the go-ahead, he was prepared to help Iraq establish a modern electronic banking system which would have, among other things, enabled Iraqi soldiers to get their pay home without leaving their units in ongoing combat operations. If Treasury, and in particular a Treasury cadre of national security professionals, had been properly involved early on, the problem and rise of criminal gangs and militias could have been mitigated sooner, thereby contributing to increased Iraqi combat power, lightening the load on our troops during a very difficult period. My amendment, simply put, would require the President to commission a study by an executive agency to develop national security professionals across departments of the federal government to provide skilled personnel for planning and conducting national security interagency operations. It's critical that we achieve a transformation in national security education, training, and interagency experience to produce national security professionals who are able to work seamlessly together. By requiring the President to commission such a study on an interagency national security professionals program, my amendment lays the foundation for that transformation. I commend Chairman Skelton, who has spent a lifetime in supporting defense reforms going back to Goldwater-Nichols and championing these reforms to further integrate our national security tools moving into the 21st century. I thank Ranking Member McKeon for his work on this issue during my 4 years on the Armed Services Committee and continuing now as our ranking member on the committee. And I yield back my time.